What's up, everybody? What's up, MGTOW? So let's talk about prison. Many MGTOW have already covered how prison is the only real rape culture in the United States, but that's not what this video is about. This video is about the effects of for-profit prisons, in which men are the vast majority of prisoners. According to the Federal Bureau of Prisons, males make up about 93% of federal prisoners. Since around 70% of men in jail come from fatherless homes, I think it's worth taking a look at. So the government gives out welfare incentivizing single mothership, then for-profit prisons profit off incarcerating these fatherless men. With a market cap somewhere between $7 and $8 billion per year, lawmakers are incentivized to increase the jail population. This leads to large amounts of corruption in the system. Since these are publicly traded companies, lawmakers are able to own stocks in the same prisons they create laws to send people to. That's a serious conflict of interest, and it also creates another generation of fatherless children repeating the cycle. Don't believe me? Think everybody in jail deserves to be there? Let's look at one example, an article from the Christian Monitor. Quote, Pennsylvania judge was sentenced Thursday for his part in what prosecutors called a cash for kids scheme that sent juvenile offenders to privately run detention facilities in return for kickbacks, end quote. So the judge was sentenced to 28 years for racketeering charges. There are other cases similar to this, and anyone with half a brain can see how this type of system can lead to corruption. So what? You don't care about criminals. Alright. Ask yourself why the government is giving $7 to $8 billion per year of taxpayer money to private jailers. Private citizens pay for the police and lawmakers, so in theory, if the prisons are making $7 to $8 billion a year, shouldn't that money go back into the budget to alleviate taxpayer burdens and, even worse, go to programs that help at-risk males before they end up in jail? So if we look at the statistics a little closer, it tells an interesting story. The largest percent of the jail population, around 46% of people in jail, are there for drug offenses. Just in contrast, the second largest percent is for weapons at 16%. Males are 11% likely to use drugs, and females are 6.5% likely to use drugs. Yet, 74% of drug arrests are males. Similarly absurd statistics by race, in which blacks have a 10% recorded drug use, whites have an 8.7%, and Hispanics at 8.4%. The highest level is Native Americans and Alaskan Natives at 13.4%, and the lowest is Asian Americans at 3.8%. Now I could speculate on these statistics, but maybe I will in a different video. Now if we look at the arrest rates, blacks are 5 to 10 times as likely to be arrested for drugs, depending on where they live. Just by sheer numbers, there should be more white people in jail for drug-related offenses, since 72% of total drug users are white, at 9.9 million, while only 2 million blacks are drug users. And similarly, shouldn't about 23% of the people in jail for drug abuse be women, since they're half as likely to use drugs as men? But I bet you're thinking, those blacks are selling all the drugs in the ghetto to the white guys. Nope. On average, 82% of drug dealers are white and 16% are black, and the majority of drug dealers sell to their own race. So the police need to start doing their job and arrest women and everybody else as much as they're arresting black people for doing drugs, because the statistics just don't speak properly to this. And you're probably thinking, well, they shouldn't be doing illegal stuff in the first place. But let's just take this in contrast with Holland, a country with lax drug laws, prevention and abuse treatment instead of prison, and Holland doesn't even come into the top 5 European or American countries with cannabis abuse problems. Anyway, back to the government being incentivized to send men to prison for profit while simultaneously funding welfare programs that drain taxes. The welfare programs become a major factor in crime, and all the time, the lawmakers and stockholders are profiting off the system they created at the taxpayer's expense. Having a criminal record reduces a person's chances of finding gainful employment, which just becomes even more of a burden on taxpayers and also makes the country less safe in general. But with these statistics, we can see why the government has an interest in keeping strict laws in place. And this doesn't even take into account the men that are put in jail for missing child support and alimony payments, which is a lot of people too. It really doesn't make any sense any way you look at it, except if you're a stockholder or government official getting kickbacks. Now, I'm not endorsing illegal activity, but a spade is a spade, and there are a lot of people in prison for non-violent offenses, including drug offenses, alimony, and child support. But you can see why legislators who are probably getting kickbacks have a reason to keep all of these unjust laws in place just to fill their quotas and maximize profit. Maximizing profit is not a proper use of the criminal justice system. So, anyway, have a good day and go MGTOW.